Hi, welcome to another one of our free classes here on Learn, Grow, Invest. It is my pleasure to be here with you again. Before we get started, I'd like to just say a brief word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for the ability to produce wealth. Lord, we pray that this will be a meaningful class, one that will teach those who need to learn about the the process of investing in the US markets, that it will be insightful for them, that they will be able to get value from this session. We thank you for this community and we thank you for your blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'll go through the agenda, and usually what we do for these classes is just a brief introduction of our community, just in case there are persons who are joining us for the first time. So we're an online community that's focused on financial education, literacy. We do free classes like this. We do presentations in schools and churches, and our aim is to help to see as many persons understanding the basics of money, investing, personal finance as we're able to reach, right? And of course, YouTube allows us a platform to be able to do that, so we're grateful. And of course, we have a passion for building our nation and helping others to build wealth and become better stewards. And that is fueled by, what we see from the parable of talents. That's where we started our investment journey. And so, of course, we know that stewardship is extremely important. We invite you at this time to join one of our free investment communities or join all of them. So there's our Telegram group, there's our LinkedIn group, and there's our Facebook group, right? Our Telegram is the most active. So quite a few of our members from the Telegram group I'm actually seeing in the chat right now. So welcome everyone. Welcome Sanjay, Humble Boss, Tahira. I think I haven't seen you in a while, but good to see you now. Amara, Nicole, Adrian, thanks for being a mod and being here. And of course, Amara is here as well. All right, so if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here on the stream with us. And I just wanted to mention two things, two quick promotions before we get into the class. This class is free class is sponsored by our 12-month investment challenge. So we started this challenge back in January. However, it's not too late to join if you want to learn the basics of investing, be a part of an ongoing monthly process of learning to invest. So we do monthly investment challenges. We do a webinar each month similar to the one that I'm having now. You get the benefit of coaching and consultancy from myself and my co-founder at a reduced cost. So that's a service that we provide right now. And then, of course, we create resources, templates, and so on that we'll share with persons in the challenge community. So if any of our challenge members are here, feel free to let me see you in the chat. And then, of course, I wanted to mention the Learn, Grow, Invest Academy. That's where we'll have courses on personal finance investing. That's where we have our conference that we host each year. The recording is there for purchase. So you can check out the Learn, Grow, Invest Academy. So learngrowinvestacademy.com, where you can get access to all of that content to help you take next steps. So I wanted to keep this class very simple, right? So I'm thinking about when we do these classes, we're thinking about those who are absolute beginners, right? And so I'm going to try and use as basic of a language as I can. I'm going to assume that you might be familiar with investing because we've done a lot of classes on the basics of the stock market, especially here in Jamaica. So I'm going to assume that you're familiar with investing. So I'm not going to lay that foundation too much. I will talk about the basics of how to make money, but the goal is to get you to wrap your mind around investing in the US markets. And then, of course, we're going to talk about how to use a platform that I recommend, which is Interactive Brokers. The link is in the description of this video, so check that out. You'll have a referral code from me to open your Interactive Brokers account. Then I'll get into some of the fundamentals of investing. So there are two main ways. We have technical analysis and fundamental analysis. I'll talk about those. Then I'll go over to my Interactive Brokers platform live to show you just the basics of placing a trade. I'll show you how we can get information about the companies on the US market. And then I'll close out with just a guide, the same guide I used when I started to invest in the US markets, and one that I recommend that you start with. And then, of course, we'll take any questions as they come in the chat. So if you have them, feel free to post them. And then, of course, a few of our mods are actually familiar with investing in the US market. So they may answer questions as they come, but feel free to ask them. And at the end, I'll try to take as many as I can. So this class may last about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on, I guess, how many questions come in. So based on the fact that we are in the middle of an investment challenge, my challenge to everybody joining us here today, if you don't have one yet, you want to start a US-based portfolio. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. You can do it through the way in which I'll be showing you here tonight, or you can do it through a local broker that may actually give you exposure to the US markets. Now, there are pros and cons to that, which I won't get into right now. But if you're interested in what the differences are, let me know. And of course, we can talk about that in our community group. All right, so let's get started with understanding the US markets. So to understand the stock market, we usually start with a stock. So a stock represents unit of ownership in a publicly listed company. And this goes for companies in Jamaica, companies in the US, companies across the world, wherever there are stock markets or stock exchanges, right? All right, I see that you're asking about the differences. I'll bookmark it and we'll cover it at the end. All right. So when we think about the US stock market, just understand that the principle of a stock is the same everywhere across the world. All right. So just like you're able to own a piece of Trans Jamaica Highway, NCB Financial Group, Sagicor Financial Group, you're able to own a piece of Microsoft or Amazon or Apple or Google. All right. So that's the basic of what a stock is. And that gives you the benefit of being able to own a piece of that company. So there are two major stock exchanges in the US that include the New York Stock Exchange, of course, based in New York, and the NASDAQ, right? Again, I'm not going to get into the differences or nuances between the two, but the purposes of this class, that's not what we want to focus on. Just understand that just like you're able to trade on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, you're able to buy and sell stocks and securities on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. Now, usually your broker platform will give you access to both platforms for you to be able to buy and sell securities that are traded on those platforms. We also have the S&P 500, a term that you might hear. So the S&P 500 is pretty much the 500 largest publicly traded companies, right? Which means that the makeup of the 500 may change depending on the size of the company, right? But this is a top 500, well, the 500 largest, and this represents about 80% of the total US market cap, right? So you can actually buy an ETF, for example, that tracks along with the S&P 500. Just like, for example, in Jamaica, you could buy the Sagicor Select Funds, which tracks against the financial index. Right, so think of it as just a way to measure the 500 largest companies. If you wanted to just invest in the 500 largest companies, this is how you do it. And then, of course, it has a price. And then, of course, our unit of measure that can be tracked. So when you're hearing like the index has grown, the market has grown, and you may see this, that's just a general idea, right? So you're seeing here the 6-month chart that it has increased by 17% in the last 6 months, right? So when you compare that to your savings account, I'm sure you didn't get the Dow Jones, a name that you may hear as well, or the Dow, whenever you're watching, Bloomberg or any US-based news. So the Dow Jones is essentially a stock market index of 30 prominent companies. If you want to see the makeup of this, of course, a Google search will give you more details. These snapshots were taken from Google. And again, so these terms are just shorthand for a group of companies or index of stocks. That's how you understand and treat with these terms. So the US market runs from Monday to Friday, excluding the US-based holidays. but allows for pre-market and after-hours trading session. So you may see, if, for example, you'll search for the Microsoft ticker on Google or Bing, you may see like a pre-market price and it showing you that trading is taking place, but it will always let you know whether it's pre-market or after hours. So like, whereas in Jamaica, when the market closes, it closes. For the Jamaica Stock Exchange, you have pre-market from 9 to 9:30 where you're able to place your orders, etc. But no trading really takes place until trading starts at 9:30. The US market allows for pre-market and after hours trading. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. So some of the benefits of investing in the US market, you have an opportunity of a wide range of investment opportunities. Thousands of companies are listed on the US stock market. And so what I usually tell persons is that focus on industries you understand. So for example, if you're in IT, you may focus on tech stocks. If you're in retail, you may focus on companies like PriceSmart. If you, for example, are not from any main industry, but you understand Netflix or Disney Plus, right? Those are all listed companies on the US market. So at the very least, you can start with companies you understand and then build your way from there. You have the benefit of cap gains and dividends in USD. So when I first started investing in the US market back in 2016, 2017, I remember purchasing Microsoft shares for about $50 per share. And one of the things I realized is that as I was building up my US portfolio, I'm gaining not just in the capital appreciation of the shares, but I'm also essentially having something where I can benefit from the increased exchange rate. Now, the USD to JMD exchange rate has been relatively stable for the last couple of years, which is a good thing. But over the long term, it's known to devalue, as in the Jamaican dollar is known to devalue against the US dollar. So when I started investing in the US market, maybe it was about 110, 120 for $1 US. Now it's 154. So I've gained in terms of my stocks appreciating, but also gained in terms of the US dollar appreciating, right? So that's one benefit. What I do to make the most of this is I have a US account. So when I have to send funds down, I'm not sending it from USD to Jamaican. I'm sending it to a USD account, so I don't have to lose in terms of that conversion rate. Next, you have the opportunity to diversify your portfolio. So after you've started the basics of investing in the local market or whichever country you're in, you want to get exposure outside your country, right? And this gives you an opportunity to do this if you're outside of the US. Long term, the stock market has shown to be one of the best performing asset classes. I hear all the crypto persons, I see all the crypto persons looking at me and all the real estate persons looking at me. But yes, the stock market is one of the best performing asset classes. And then, of course, one of the things I love about the US market is that you have the opportunity to purchase in what we call fractional shares. So later on, when I'll do a breakdown of some of the prices of some US stocks, you'll find out that if you had to buy one share, it would be very expensive for the average Jamaican. So the ability to order fractional shares helps you to buy 0.1 share of, for example, Microsoft and spend $40 as opposed to one single share, which will cost you $421. So I'm just showing you here just a screenshot of Microsoft's prospectus when they first came to market. I want you to understand that just as how you have, IPOs in Jamaica, IPOs in the Caribbean, you have IPOs on the US market, right? So Uber had an IPO, I believe, Airbnb, etc. So those companies, just as how it happens in Jamaica, it happens in the US. So Microsoft made available 2.7 million shares. I believe this was back in the 1980s, if I'm not mistaken. And they list and they were asking $21 per share, right? So you had the opportunity to buy into this company for $21 a share. And of course, they've been trading for many years. I've done, you know, stock splits, all different things over the years. And so, but even if you just take the price that you'd have been able to subscribe at versus the price where it is now, you'd already see, you know, significant growth. I wanted to show you just Microsoft stock now. Now you may go to Yahoo Finance or any other site, and if you search for Microsoft stock, you likely see something similar to what you're seeing on the screen. So I just took a quick screenshot. I'm going to explain some of the things you may see just so that you can understand how it works, right? So we usually can search for the company name or the ticker. If you've been following the market for a while, you'll start to learn the tickers, right? So Microsoft is MSFT. And of course, you're seeing at the end of that line, NASDAQ, which means, to remember, I mentioned the two exchanges. Microsoft trades on the NASDAQ, right? The price is $421.40 based on the time I took this screenshot. And similar to what you'd see on the JSE, you're seeing that it has decreased by $6.53 or 1.53%. If this was doing trading hours, you'd see an ask and a bid price, right? That would be the queue. You'd see what persons are willing to sell for and what persons are asking in terms of buying. Where you see point number 2, this chart that you're seeing below is filtered by the day. So that D, you can click on the D and you can say week, month, minute, hour, so on and so forth. So you can filter that chart based on different time intervals. Then we have next to it a candlestick. So what we're seeing is a candlestick chart, something that we'll do a video on at some point to explain a little bit more. And then of course, point 3 is showing what we call the open, high, low, and close, right? So that's just some statistics for the price for the last trading day. And of course, you also have a OHLC chart that you can look at, but it shows you that the high of the day was $425. The low for the day is $419. It closed at $421. Point 4 is the candlestick chart. And of course, you're seeing that it's filtered below by point where you have 0.7 for the last 3 months. So you're looking at the 3-month chart. And of course, over the right, where you have 0.5, that's the price. So where you see that dotted red line, you're able to move that line to see the price for that particular day. And then of course, 0.6 is showing you the volume traded, right? So you're able to mouse over the chart, see different points, and at certain price point or that time, you're able to see the volume that would have traded for that particular interval that you're looking. All right. So hopefully this makes sense. Again, the more you get exposure to this information, the more it will make sense to you. All right, so let's get into some of the fundamentals of investing, just some things that will help you to navigate this market. All right, so usually we say there are 2 ways to make money from stocks. Of course, we're gonna explain one more point through this section based on how the US market works. So on a fundamental level, as when you own shares, as those shares become more valuable, you get what are called capital gains. So if you purchased Microsoft shares at their IPO, which was $21, and it goes to $400, whatever percentage gain that is, would call that our cap gains. Of course, if it goes in the opposite direction, we call it a loss. And so, of course, shares can go up or down, right? You're seeing from the chart, prices don't move in a straight direction. That's true of any market. The next way you can make money is as companies make a profit, they may pay a dividend, and the word may is there because it's not guaranteed. Of course, you have blue chip companies, again, on the US market that are known for paying dividends. And of course, for the ones who are known to pay dividends, you want to look at the dividend yield, right? Because especially based on the cost you're going to be spending for one of those shares in US, the dividend yield is going to be important if you're investing for income. So one option that you have available to you in the US market is what's called short selling. So in this case, you're actually buying shares and hoping that the prices go down, right? So you'll borrow shares from your broker, sell them on the open market, and then the hope is that you're able to buy them back and give it back to your broker when the price drops, right? So if you buy shares for $100 and they get to $90, you're able to now buy back those shares on the market, sell it back to your broker for $90, and the difference between the $190 is your profit. Of course, if you're planning to short the market and the prices go up, then of course that's where you lose money, right? So short selling works in the reverse, where when prices go up, you lose money. When prices go down, you make money. So you would usually invest in the US stock market one out of two ways. You can use a method called fundamental analysis, or you may use what's called technical analysis. Now, technical analysis will typically be used by persons who are referred to as traders, right? These persons aren't necessarily looking at, well, some of them would say they look at fundamental information, but the process of fundamental analysis is different from technical analysis. So let's explain those two a little bit. So fundamental analysis is when we're looking at the company's financials, we're looking at, the profit and loss, cash flow, balance sheet. We're looking at their management team. We're looking at their position in the market. We're looking at any industry trends. And really what we're trying to do here is come up with an intrinsic value, right? So let's say that through our fundamental research, we see where Microsoft may be fundamentally valued $600. Then we may say, okay, the current price is $421. The intrinsic value based on our calculations is $600. So we believe this company is undervalued. And so you would make an investment using fundamental analysis with the hopes that one day the stock will trade at its fair value price, right? Next, we have technical analysis, and this studies, you're solely looking at market data. You're looking at price and volume to identify patterns and trends that may predict future stock price movements. And it says, of course, again, may predict. There are no guarantees, but usually the patterns and trends, if you know them well and factor them with of course, any recent maybe sentiment information, like let's say there's an acquisition or there's some event that may likely favor the market, let's say interest rates information or anything like that, that's a way in which you can trade by just looking at that. So you're not necessarily going deep into what we call the fundamentals, but you have the opportunity to use this to be able to trade and go for what we call short-term gains. So technical, just a little more about technical analysis. There are times when you may use technical analysis in addition with fundamental analysis to maybe look for good price points to enter a position, right? So Nicole says it sounds like speculating. It could be seen that way because, of course, the thought process though behind technical analysis is that you're looking to see. So, for example, let's say that you're seeing where the volume is steadily increasing in a company, and then there is some milestone upcoming or some event upcoming, like let's say a stock split. You usually can use those pieces of information to say, well, okay, we are expecting that as it goes closer to that milestone of that split, the price will continue to go up. We're seeing volumes increasing, we're seeing price increasing, and so we're making an informed decision that we have an opportunity to get some gains in the short term by purchasing now based on the information that we have, right? So it's speculating in some sense, but it's very useful if you want to be able to invest based off trends and past information. So I'm going to explain the process of signing up for Interactive Brokers, and we'll get into a demo a little later. So for Interactive Brokers, I'm using this based off what I think you should need regardless of Caribbean country. This is certainly the information that I had to consider. And then, of course, these may change over time depending on whatever the requirements are for the company. Now, usually, well, let's say a few years ago, we had options of like TD Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers, but TD Ameritrade, because Jamaica, for example, was, I think, gray listed, they stopped accepting new applications. So personally, I have a TD Ameritrade account. They were recently acquired by Charles Schwab. So of course, that is something that I have access to. But if you're signing up for the first time, you wouldn't have access to that. So Interactive Brokers is what we recommend now for persons who want to get started, because that restriction is not there. So standard stuff, proof of ID, proof of income. I'll show you some screenshots of the form that you will be required to complete once you click on the referral link that's in the description. And then, of course, finally, you want to think about how you're going to fund your account. Now, the simplest way I have found is to have a US bank account. Have your own US bank account. I was going to say you can ask somebody to transfer for you, but you certainly don't want to be at the mercy of someone else. There are accounts that you can create from Jamaica online. I'm not going to recommend any because it depends on where you are, the state, like all of those things. So it's a personal preference, but you can open a US bank account from Jamaica, fund that account, and then from that account, fund your Interactive Brokers account. You have third-party apps like Wise, but of course, from time to time, there may be challenges in using those apps. Or then, of course, you can use a wire transfer. So if you have a Jamaican US account, you can do a wire transfer directly to your Interactive Brokers account. And then, of course, you have to be sure to check the fees that your bank may charge here in Jamaica to do that international transfer. So these are some screens that you're going to see when you're signing up for Interactive Brokers. I'm sure I don't need to say that what you're seeing here may change over time depending on when you're watching this video. So of course, just focus on the type of information and not necessarily exactly what you're seeing on the screen. So it says here, for each account holder, you'll need personal and contact information, income and tax, residency information, information on trading experience and objectives, bank account information. Now, what I recommend that you do here, if you're doing this for the very first time, join our Telegram group. And as you go through the screens, you can ask which options are best, right? So for example, when I was opening my account, I asked David Rose, which options I should choose for the different settings. So for example, when it's asking about trading experience and objectives, I didn't want to limit myself, but I also didn't want to put the wrong information. So of course, I asked him, he guided me, then I was able to select and have a configuration that works for me. Of course, you can change those settings over time if you need to, but it's not going to be information that you don't have personally, right? Everything that you need, you'll be able to source from home, from your personal information that you would have for any other application, really. So the very first thing you do is create a username and password. So you want to remember this username and password. You want to have an email address. And then, of course, you select your country. When you click create account, it sends you a link. You verify your email, and then you have the option to log in and complete the rest of the application process, right? So this first account, you want to go with individual. That's the simplest one to choose. Joint account, I haven't done that. And retirement account, as you see, is available to US residents only. So what you're seeing, the different sections there, as you complete them and select the different options, it moves you to the next step. So it's going to ask you for information about yourself, your address. You can put all the information you need to. Now, I've never received any mail from Interactive Brokers, but you want to put your actual address just in case they may need to send you any notices or they need your updated information and they have to mail out something to you. So just make sure you put an address that you have access to. And then, of course, if you have a US address, you can send that there as well. but this allows you to sign up as an international citizen, so you don't have to worry about not putting the correct information. So this again is asking for more personal info, number of dependents, marital status, tax residency, TRN number, all of those things. Just use what applies. For identification, you can use driver's license, passport. I don't believe you can use voter's ID, so passport or driver's license are good options. And then of course you'll have to take a picture or scan and upload. Employment status, you want to select that option. Sources of wealth, it may ask you to verify depending on what you choose. For me, I believe I had income from employment and interest and dividend income, right? So those are the two options I chose, and that was fine for me. Then you have additional information. The base currency for your account, USD, is fine. And then it's going to ask you security questions. You want to remember the answers to these questions, but you don't want them to be too generic, just in case somebody tries to hack your account. And what I mean by that is, don't put information here that can be easily acquired from like your social media pages, right? So don't put, for example, things like where you went to high school, if you have your high school published all over social media or anything like that. Okay, thanks, Adrian. That says national ID works. Perfect. Then, of course, after you finish that process, if there's anything that's missing, it will let you know. You either upload, present that information, etc. And then what I've done is once I logged in, I turned on multi-factor authentication on the account. So when I go to log in and I click that login button, it sends a notification to my phone. So I simply just click on that to approve it, and then I'm able to log in, right? That way, if it is that you're logging in from a device that you may not be sure, yes, the security questions are case sensitive, right? So you usually want to remember exactly how you typed it. From my understanding, it is, but yeah, from my understanding, it is, right? Well, is it case sensitive? I'll find out. That's a very, very good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually, but I think so. But usually you have multiple tries, right? So if you try once and it doesn't work, so for example, you just try a different case and then, okay, thanks, Cashwayne. So Cashwayne is saying all the answers are case sensitive. That makes sense, right? And then, of course, once you're in the account, when you finish opening it, it's going to encourage you to fund the account, because that's the only way that you can trade. So, of course, as I mentioned, you can make a deposit. It'll give you the details, whether you're doing a wire transfer. In my case, I transferred from my Bank of America account. So I entered those details and it verified the account, and I was able to transfer funds from my Bank of America to my Interactive Brokers account. All right, so this is what the interface looks like. And where it says here, refer a friend, to the top right, that's the link that I clicked on to generate the referral code that you have in the description. And so, of course, once you sign up, if you want to be able to refer other persons, just click that link and you'll be able to get a link that you can share. All right, and I'll get into the interface a little later once I log into my platform. All right, so let's talk about some investment strategies. So the only strategy that I'm going to recommend for you, if you're brand new to the US market, is to buy and hold, right? I'm not going to discuss any other strategy at this point, because I'm assuming again that you're brand new, and I'm assuming that you'll need to take some time to learn. All right, so the buy and hold strategy is what I recommend. And this is a passive investment strategy where you buy stocks and hold them for a long period, regardless of fluctuations in the market. Now, what this means is that you want to buy at a low price. And when I say low is going to be subjective, of course, but like you were hearing NVIDIA going to all-time highs, do not buy at an all-time high, right? That's just a general rule of investing, regardless of any market. What you want to do is wait for somewhat of a correction which Nvidia had, I think, a slight correction, maybe down 10% or more. And then I've since heard recently that it went back up again. But if you bought at the high, you would not be in profit right now, right? So if you like the company and there's some sort of correction, then you can look to see if it's a good time. But of course, some persons may say, well, if I'm buying long term, what does it matter if I buy at an all-time high? That's kind of true. And so it's really up to you. But personally, I know how hard it can be for people to just starting to invest and seeing their account in red. So if you don't want to see your account in red at any point, try not to buy at an all-time high. Just general guidance. So this screen is for persons now. Again, I'm assuming that you're watching from the Caribbean. And so the current exchange rate is $154 Jamaican to $1 USD. All right. So you really want to think about this as you're looking to invest. That exchange rate is going to be something. So let's say that you want to invest 100 US per month. You'll have to find $15,000 plus whatever fees to get that money into your account, right? So that's going to be something that I remember for years I had to work out just how much I'm able to transfer based on the exchange rate. So that's always going to be a factor for you. You want to find the most seamless way, and sometimes it's okay to find multiple ways to fund your account to see which one works best for you. The approach that I recommend, you find 4 to 6 stocks, just like I recommend for the Jamaica Stock Exchange, or you find a fund so for example, you can find a dividend ETF. You could find, one that is based on crypto. It really depends on what you're looking for, but there's usually an ETF based on some sector or category of stocks, right? And then of course, as I mentioned before, if you wanted to buy, for example, the S&P index, you could do that, right? So I'd say simplify your approach, start with one out of those 3 ways. And then finally, what I do personally, and I recommend you do the same, I find maybe 3 to 4 sources of information. I'm not trying to get every single piece of information about, the company that exists out there in the world, because I don't have that time, right? So I follow Yahoo Finance on YouTube. I've subscribed to their channel. I follow Bloomberg. So I'll watch when they're having like their daily shows, stuff like that. I may listen to it while I'm eating dinner or something like that. There's Brian Ferraldi, who we've had on our channel, who will do content on different stocks. And so I learn about companies, even though I'm not invested in them yet, just in case it's something piques my interest, and then I can go for further research. And then, of course, because I know fundamental analysis from the Jamaica Stock Exchange, once I'm interested in a company, I can apply that, and then I can see, if this company requires my further attention. Now, the beauty about the US market is that you have every single piece of information you could want about a company, right? You have information overload, and that's why I say you want to filter sources, because it can be overwhelming. But I'll show you some of the areas that I focus on when I log into the platform, and then you can see, if it makes sense for you. So was that it? Yep. So here's a simple way to start. Now, you don't have to do it exactly this way, but if you were to ask me, okay, Jermaine, where do I start? What do I do? Set a monthly target. So let's say it's $50 US, $100 US. If you can afford more, great. Invest in companies you understand. So I have a tech background. So for example, one of the first companies I would have invested in is Microsoft. I know it well. I know the business, and I know Azure, I know Xbox, I know, the different segments very well, because I worked at Microsoft, right? So I understand that company well. And so I know where the industry is headed. I know the players in the market. I know, their competition with AWS, with Google Cloud. I know all the things I need to know about Microsoft firsthand, right? I understand companies like Facebook. I've been using Facebook for a long time. I understand how they make money. I understand companies like Netflix. I've done research into how Netflix makes money, how they pay for their content, the fact that they've been investing in growing their subscribers, the fact that they might have, started to clamp down on things like sharing of the password so that more users pay for subscriptions. Like all of those things I understand, so I can invest accordingly, right? And another way to look at it is to choose an ETF that pays a healthy dividend. So you may see dividend yields of like 4%, 5%, maybe on the high side. And of course, since this is based in the US dollar, you factor that in, of course, and you're going to be comparing that, of course, based on what you get locally. And of course, the yield is extremely important. And some of them will have ratings to see whether or not, because you're not just going to invest in anything. You want to see a track record. You want to see that it's managed well, and check to see if there are any reviews of that fund or ETF that you can find to help give you an idea as to how it's managed. If you're buying, so I'll also say aim for one share. So one Netflix share, one Microsoft share, one Apple share. And on the next screen, I'm going to show you the cost if you were to buy one share each of some of these companies, for you to see how much you need to start with to get to that point. So if you were to say, well, Jermaine, I want to start with 5 stocks, just so you appreciate how much it may cost you from the Caribbean to have a portfolio of just one share each, right, for these companies. That would cost 1,892 USD. This is, of course, before fees. And so this is why I says try to get to one share. So one share can be a short-term goal depending on your income. Now, you can buy fractional shares. So you could just start with, 0.1 share until you get to 1. And this is, of course, not assuming your income, and that's why I'm starting it low. If persons are able to afford more, you afford more, and it's up to you to go from there, right? But you really want to think about your cost to transfer. And so I typically recommend that if persons are investing in the US market, you treat it like a long-term investment, meaning you don't want to be pulling money down to Jamaica every month. I would have a US account, even if I want to take profits, I'm not going to bring it into Jamaica to have to pay a transfer fee. I may transfer from my Interactive Brokers to my Bank of America account and leave it there until I want to invest again. But you don't want to do too many transfers because you're gonna be losing money in fees. All right. So Amara is asking what's the cost for Amazon. So when we get to Interactive Brokers, we can check that out. I'm not sure. I know they did a stock split. I think it's $195, but we'll confirm that. All right. So I'm going to go to the Interactive Brokers demo, and then I'll take some questions. All right. So if you have questions, post them in the chat, and I'll get to them immediately after this demo. So I just need to log into my account. So I'm going to do the MFA that I mentioned. And then, of course, I want to see, to ensure that I'm not revealing anything private. All right, just waiting here. Okay, here we go. Shelly, I'm not sure I agree. So you're saying that you think fractional is just ridiculous. No, fractional on the Jamaican market will not make sense. But fractional on the US market, to me, makes a lot of sense, because when I was purchasing Microsoft shares, there are some cases where all I got were fractional shares because of the amount of money that the shares might cost and how much I'm able to buy at that time. So it adds up, right? If you're able to buy 0.1 share for 5 years, you'll still have, so 5 single Amazon shares a few years ago was valued at 15,000 US, right? So you never know where the price may go to. And so fractional shares for Jamaica does not make sense. Fractional shares for the US absolutely make sense, all right? So I got an error for my authentication, so I'm going to try again. Sometimes this happens when the browser is left open, so just have to try sometimes more than once. And I know there are some other questions. All right, so let me answer some questions while I'm trying to sign in. So I think this, Tahira, when you're saying you wanted to know the difference, okay. So for brokers in Jamaica who allow you to invest in the US market, there's usually a minimum and there's usually a fee. Now, the last time I checked, the fee to purchase from Jamaica to the US market was somewhere around $50. Now, that might have changed, but when I thought about the fact that I'm going to spend $50 in addition to buying those shares, that didn't make sense to me, because $50 could buy me 0.1 Microsoft shares, right? So that fee didn't make sense to me. Now, it depends on how convenient you want it. But in this case, investing in the US market, you know, I'm a big advocate for ownership. So until those fees go down locally, you want to just take the process into your own hands and buy directly, right? Hopefully that answers your question. Amara is saying, are you saying you have to have a US account in a US bank? That's what I was saying. Yes, it is easy to do online. I, for example, have a Mercury account that I opened from Jamaica. I have a debit card. I can apply for a credit card. I did all of that online, right? So it's very easy to do. You just have to research and see which one will suit your preferences. All right, next question is, how do you get the dividends into your Jamaican bank account? Okay, very good question. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think you should do with your dividends. And I actually do not recommend that when you get a dividend from a US stock, that you send the money down to Jamaica. You want to do what's called a dividend reinvestment plan, right? Or DRIP. So for example, when I have my Microsoft shares, I've set up DRIP so that when I get dividends from Microsoft stock, it waits 1 day and then it purchases shares, fractional shares in Microsoft, and then adds back to my account. So you don't want to be sending down your dividends. Again, imagine if you're sending $20, $30, $50, it doesn't make sense. All right, so I'm getting an error in logging in. Let me restart my phone because I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Let me just see here. Let's see how I can restart my phone here. OS actually updated, so I'm not the best at using it right now, but I'll try again in a few minutes. We answered this question for you, I believe. So I think we're good here. Shellyan is asking, so the account is held at Interactive Brokers, similar to how JCSD, where all the investment accounts are held. If you need to change your broker from Interactive Brokers, you can simply just transfer your shares. Now, I've never needed to do that. It's not similar. So your shares are with Interactive Brokers, right? Hopefully that answers your question. If you need to transfer brokers, I believe on that screen where I showed you, let me see if I can find it. When we were sharing the Interactive Brokers screen, so for example, you can transfer to another account if you need to, right? But that shouldn't be an issue. And the truth is, the US makes that so convenient that you'd be very surprised. If you want to transfer your shares, they're not going to hold you hostage. They either will have something on their platform for you to do it, or you simply call and you should be fine. Nicole is asking, could I open a US account while visiting there? Yes, you can. So that's how I opened my Bank of America account. I was visiting the US. I was staying there for a couple of days. I went in on the first day because I had to mail something to me, some sort of verification. So once I got that mail, I was able to now complete the account opening process for Bank of America. But they're banks that allow you to open it completely online, right? So for example, the Mercury account that I have was opened completely online. All right, let me see if there are any other questions that I'm missing. Shellyan, so I'm not saying you're buying 0.1 share. You're buying 0.1 share every month for 5 years. So in 5 years, you're gonna have maybe 5 units, 6 units. It doesn't sound like much, Shellyan, but trust me, if you had 5 Amazon shares before the split, you'd be happy about that. Adrian is saying being able to buy fractional shares is beneficial as exactly, right? If you were to buy one Nvidia share right now, that's 900 US, that's about 140,000 Jamaican dollars. I don't know if anybody would be able to buy one share, right? Um, Shellyan says she doesn't have the patience. Shellyan, okay. All right. To each his own, definitely. So I'm going to try one more time to log into Interactive Brokers because I'm not sure what is happening here. But it did happen to me earlier. I think I restarted and now it's giving me an error. Okay. All right. So guys, what I'm going to try to do, this is very disappointing, of course, but I'm going to try one more time. Like I'm going to start a new browser and see if that will work. Because I really want to show you the platform at least, because I think that will kind of bring everything together. Carice is asking, how would I advise one to invest $1 million JMD? You're talking about in the US market. Go back to the screen where I showed you a simple strategy. That's what I would say. No, I'm not going to tell you which specific stocks or specific ETFs to buy, but the model that I would have shared, buy 4 to 6 stocks, buy in industries you understand, and you want to focus. If you're investing for income, focus on dividend yield, and then of course just simply try to add to that position over time. Now, if all you're investing is at 1 million JMD and you need that money in a short time, I would say even look to something locally. You have preference shares over 10%. You have bonds that are close to 10% now. So if you need that 1 million back in 6 months' time or later, because the truth is the US market is it's in an interesting state. So if you're going to be investing that 1 million in the short term, then I'm not sure the US market is necessarily the best at this time, because the mindset, of course, you want to think long term. You don't necessarily want to be investing that million and say, okay, I want something in a few months. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes, Shelley, so you can do that, but of course, there are companies that allow you to open it online. That's what I was gonna say. Thanks, Adrian. So Amazon was 2,700 before the stock split. So again, Shellyan, one Amazon share. Let me calculate that right now. Let's say almost 2,800. So I'd have to spend $436,000 to buy one share of Amazon. Yeah. All right. So anything that I'm saying is not financial advice, guys. I think everybody knows that. Okay, I'm happy that was helpful. Now, Carice, if you want to get a deeper understanding of how to invest, that's what our coaching program is for. We do have the monthly investment challenge that may be helpful for you. We have our one-on-one consultation, so we'll help you to go through your finances, help you to determine how much you can afford to invest, help you formulate a strategy to invest. We can help you with everything except telling you what to buy, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So if you're interested in that, because that investment of the one-on-one consultation can help ensure that you invest the $1 million appropriately. All right, so I'm going to try one more time. Oh, wait, I remember Interactive Brokers desktop app. So let me try that. I've downloaded the desktop app recently. So let me see if that works. Yeah. I'm going to try the desktop app. Now, I'm not as familiar with the desktop app, but I'm thinking that it shouldn't be that different here. All right. Just need to find my password. This is not what you want to do in a live stream. I thank our community members for being patient. All right, let me see if that works. Okay, it's gonna send me a notification again. There we go. That's what I was hoping for. Okay, so I think the desktop app is working. Okay, so Tyrell, your question, do I have a video for Wise and Interactive Brokers outside of the session? No, when we did our investment challenge earlier this year, we did an overview of investing in the US markets, buying and selling on Day Trader, etc. But if you go to our Telegram group, there are persons there like Adrian, like David Rose, who can help you with Wise and stuff like that. But if you check out Demetrius Fairman's channel, I think he has a video on Wise. He has a video on Interactive Brokers as well. So, but we don't have videos personally, not just yet, right? Okay. So I have the desktop app opened, and let me try again for the web app because I'm looking at the desktop app and I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing with that. So let me just try the web app one more time because I don't know the desktop version that well. All right. All right, no other questions. All right, so the broker that we're using is Interactive Brokers. That's what we're using to access the platform. We went through the steps to sign up. There's a referral code in the chat, and that's what you can use to start the process. All right, guys, I'm going to share the desktop app because the browser is not behaving. All right, so I apologize in advance if I should fumble around this platform because I'm not the best in terms of having familiarity with it, right? So I'm going to try to do this justice. Let me see if I can make the screen a little larger first because that looks really small. So let me do that. Screen 2. Okay, let's try this again. Let me know if you're able to see that a little bit better. It looks brighter to me, so that might work for you. All right, so once we fund our account, so what you're seeing here, for example, is the value that I have in my account. That $310 is funds that I have available to purchase, right? So I have that amount. Now, let's say that we go to look for a company. We've been talking about Microsoft. Well, somebody asked about Amazon. Let me use Amazon here. So once I search for it, I'm seeing from this drop-down list here, I'm seeing Amazon that trades on the NASDAQ, of course, and based on my account settings, I can access actually more than the US market. So you may find companies on other exchanges depending on how your account is configured. Now I searched for Amazon and it brings up these charts. Let me see if I can remove this here. Okay, this seems to be something I can collapse here. It seems to be like I can remove this section here. So let me See if I can do that. Well, it's fine for now. So what you're seeing here is some information about Amazon. So immediately, what you're usually able to do is go to buy. Let me move the screen over a little bit. Okay. So you're seeing here the details about the company. So Amazon is at $185 per share now. You're seeing that it has same information that we looked at before. Again, this is not during trading hours. Thank you, Adrian. You're saying click multi-chart and adjust. Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. But what I'm going to focus on just for this example is how to actually place the order and some of the things you need to think about. I'm not going to go through the application, right? So we have the opportunity to buy or sell. So if we had shares already, we'd be able to sell those shares. And what we're seeing is same information you would see just like on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So the pricing information, volume information, 52-week high, 52-week low. And then, of course, you have down here some news that relates to the company that you're looking at, right? So this is news that could potentially impact Amazon. So that's what you're seeing there. Then usually you'll have a calendar of events. So let's say a report is coming out or there's some corporate action. You may see that here. And then it's giving you a brief overview of Amazon. So this is a great way to research the company if you're not familiar. And I wanted to, before I go to the buy order, I'll go over the left to where it says fundamentals. And this is where you want to start any point of research, right? So if I've never heard about Amazon before and I want to understand a little bit about the company, I want to start here. So let me actually go full screen so you can see that a little better. So it gives you the overview of Amazon here. If you scroll down, you'll usually see a rating. In this case, it's being rated by Morningstar. It has an ESG rating. All the companies in the US is going to have this now. And you will slowly see that for Jamaica. I don't know how we're going to do it, but the JSE did mention that they're going to be, encouraging companies to focus on ESG as well. And so Morningstar has this fair value estimate of 185. Of course, that happens to be the price that it's trading at. The uncertainty for the shares in terms of price is high. And we have some key ratios here, right? So you'll be able to go further into the ratios under the key ratio section here, but you'll usually have some financial ratios. You may have ratios like its PE, etc. And so that's what you're seeing here. If the company has a dividend history, you'll see it here. So they have not paid a dividend in 5 years. That's what it's saying. Of course, if you know the history of Amazon, they weren't making a profit for a long time, right? So it's not surprising that they have not paid a dividend. But once they do, so for example, we saw Meta start to pay a dividend recently, and that did wonders for the stock. So you never know, right? Some more ESG information there. And then it has a summary of the financials, right? So there's a financials tab as well. But at a quick glance, you'll see their revenue, net income, cash flow from operations, etc. And then, of course, you'll get some information. So in the US, you have a lot of companies that put out price predictions, analysis on the company. So you don't necessarily just want to follow anyone you see. You want to allow it. To me, once I see something, I want to give it some time to see whether or not their analysis is right or not. Meaning, I'm going to do my own analysis and then I'll look at that company's track record for making predictions, as in price targets, ratings, etc. before I leverage it. Right. So that's what I'll look on the fundamentals. You have key ratios, as I mentioned. I will give you much more details in terms of information. Again, this is going to be so much more than you'd see for any market in the Caribbean. But that's the beauty, as I mentioned, of the US market. There's a whole lot of information for you to understand the companies on a deeper level. If you wanted to go to its financials, then you can see all of that information here. So you don't have to search for the quarterly report. You're likely going to see that information here. So you're seeing it on a quarterly basis here or an annual basis, right? And you're seeing for Amazon, their revenues are up 11% for the year, 19% gross profit, net profit up 732%, right? So you're seeing the information about them here. So you don't need to go and search for the report. So this is a section when I mentioned fundamental analysis. This is a kind of information that you want to look at. So let's now look at what some of the things that you would consider if you wanted to place an order to buy. So once I click on buy, it will show you your available funds, of course. You can enter a quantity. Now, because I don't have Shelly-Ann's money, I'm going to enter like a 0.1 because that's what I can afford. Saying your estimated order total is less than 100 US. If this is not your intent, please modify your order. All right, so it's telling me the amount is too low. Probably Shelly tipped them off. So let me do one share because I think I have enough here, right? So of course, shares USD, we leave that amount. Now, just as in Jamaica, we have a limit price where we set it. We can use market price, meaning whatever it's currently trading at is what we'll purchase. And then of course, we have stop losses that we can set, or maybe a more nuanced price point that we can set, right? Usually I either focus on limit price because I want to be able to determine the price that I'm buying at. If I'm selling, then I just sell usually at market price, right? So the price that it has here is 189. Now, if I wanted to set it for 188 or 185, I could do that. And then it's set to leave that price in for the day. Of course, you can modify that, but I'm going to leave that for now. And then, of course, you can now preview your order, or you can go to the advanced options. Let me go to preview. So it's showing you here that this is a kind of summary before your order is placed. So once I hit transmit, it's gonna place that order. It's gonna be in the queue, and then the next time it's able to fill that order, it will fill the order. Of course, I'm not gonna place the order at this point, but I just wanted you to see how easy it was to set an order. And that's pretty much it, right? No different than what you'd have for the local market. If you wanted to do the sell order, you just want to be mindful of the price that you're selling the shares for. And for everything else, it really comes down to your personal preference, right? So let me just do a quick glance to see if there's anything that I wanted to mention. I think that's it. So this, what I just shared, is the Interactive Brokers desktop app. Now, I downloaded it a couple of months ago, but I don't really use it. I usually focus on the web version, but I wanted to have the option just in case. And I'm happy I downloaded it because I was able to use it for this presentation, but I didn't plan for it, and that's why I didn't go through it a little bit better. So if that demo was a little bit wonky, I apologize, and hopefully that was helpful for you. So Tyrell, the SEC is the Securities Exchange Commission. Now they're the ones that, so for example, if you've heard about companies or persons who would have been, arrested for securities fraud, etc., or persons say something inappropriately, the SEC is the one who regulates, or one of the companies that regulate. And of course, the closest that would have to them would be like our FSC, though I hear David Rose saying it's not a comparison. So yes, so Renee says here, Securities and Exchange Commission. All right, so that was it for the content here tonight. Let me know if you have any additional questions. I just have to remind you of what we covered. Apologize for that. I just wanted to remind you of what we covered. So we looked at the basics of the US market, how the US market works, the fact that you're able to purchase from thousands of companies. You have the opportunity to diversify your investments. You have the ability to invest in US dollars from the Caribbean. And we looked at how to sign up for Interactive Brokers. So if you're just joining, the link is in the description. There is a referral code. It costs you nothing to create the account. You'll just need to fund it. We went through some of the things to think about. Then we went through the ways in which you invest. Now, if you've been investing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange and you've been investing the way that we've taught you in terms of fundamental analysis, then that's a similar process, right? So you want to invest in companies you understand. You want to think that you're buying and holding long term. You want to think that you're buying a little bit each month, each quarter, while it adds up. And then the rest of it is just for you to continue to learn. So I encourage you to join our community groups where you can learn more and get a handle, get your questions answered. Our US markets group is one of our more active groups over on Telegram. Persons like Adrian, persons like David Rose will share information. So whenever earnings week is coming up, they'll share a graphic to tell you which earnings reports are coming out. If there are questions about the US markets that persons want to ask, they'll answer it. So that's a benefit of investing within a community. All right. Can you buy bonds? I believe so. I would think so. No, I don't know of any bonds in the US, so I couldn't tell you the name of any, but I'm almost certain that you should be able to. So the S&P 500, Tyrell, is the 500 largest companies on the US market. So they track the 500 largest in an index called the S&P 500. Now you can purchase that index through like an ETF, and that's a simple way to invest. So think of it like a unit trust in Jamaica. So that would be, how to think about that. Shellen is asking, yes, I heard about that, and I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. Now, I do believe that, well, I don't know if a death penalty for fraud is an appropriate punishment, but of course, countries have laws and rules, and of course, if you're found to be in breach of that, you unfortunately will have to suffer those consequences. Can you post a link for Mercury? So I signed up for Mercury through the company that was managing my US LLC. So they sent me the link directly. I'm not sure I'd be able to generate it here, but let me probably do a quick check to see if I can refer you if Mercury gives me a referral link. Let me search for that. Okay, cool. It does. Awesome. All right, so here's the Mercury referral link. Okay. So be sure you confirm the requirements first before you sign up for an account. Can you invest in the US China stock market from Interactive Brokers? I believe you can. Interactive Brokers, I don't think there's a limit. The US market, the UK market, the Canadian market, yes, you can. Nicole, to join our Telegram group, there's a link on any of our social media platforms. There's a link on the information section over on YouTube. There's on our website, the email that you registered in that this was sent out for today. You can find a link to join our Telegram group as well. Yes, Interactive Brokers does have really great and low fees. So that's why if you want to participate in our courses, go to learngrowinvestacademy.com. I'd recommend that if you want to get started, if you don't have a foundation, our coaching program is a great place to start. You can also join our investment challenge. Those are really two good places to start. Or you can do one-on-one. So some persons say, well, I don't want to learn in a group. I want one-on-one with you, Jermaine, or one-on-one with Renee. One-on-one consultations will do that. There's no commitment. You can have as many sessions as you want or as little as you want. And we'll just set an agenda, give you the same resources, and we just go through it as you're available. So if you don't want to be able to stick to the coaching program that may meet every Saturday or every 2 Saturdays, then you can do the one-on-one consultation. Do I have to file taxes at the end of the year when I buy or sell, or can I trade freely? You will need to do, oh my gosh, when I had my Microsoft shares with Fidelity, I had to fill out something. Was it a W-8 form? I don't remember. There is something, but whatever you need to fill out, the broker will let you know, right? Once they know that you're an international customer, anything that you have to do, it will tell you, right? We'll close off the stream in a few minutes, by the way. So if you have any other questions, you let me know. Would I say the S&P 500 is the US version of the Sagicor Select funds? No, not quite. The Sagicor Select funds, Select F, is the financial index, just a handful of companies that are on the financial index. S&P 500 is the 500 largest. So the Select manufacturing, Select financial are specific sectors. S&P 500 is the 500 largest regardless of sector. So what's the cost to join our classes? Classes like you're a part of right now are completely free. We have them every quarter. The videos stay on YouTube. Sometimes we pull them down for 30 days depending on the topic. If we pull them down, we'll put them on our academy. So you want to register there as well. If you want to learn, for example, so there are a couple of ways to answer this question, right? We have content on our academy that you can purchase on a one-off basis. You have the investment challenge, which is a $30 per month cost to be a part of the challenge. You can join and leave at any time. And so we actually do trainings outside of that, where I teach Microsoft Excel, Power BI, and other topics. That has a specific cost as well. If you want financial education, I would say start with our coaching program or our investment challenge. The investment challenge is $30 per month, and you'll get access to all the previous videos, be added to our WhatsApp group, and be a part of our monthly calls. I'll take a couple more questions. I want to wrap up the stream in a few minutes. Okay, thank you for this, Adrian. Interactive Brokers does tax filing on our behalf. Awesome, right? Is there a separate cost for one-on-one coaching outside of the challenge? Yes, because so the content on the investment challenge is solely based on helping you with investing in the stock market. The coaching program covers mindset, money management, retirement planning, multiple streams of income, budgeting. So the coaching would be, if, for example, like Favor says they know nothing, the coaching would be perfect for that. Now we can do the we will only cover what's relevant to investing for the investment challenge, right? Okay. Okay, so Nicole says, not quite ready to invest yet, paying off some debt first and saving an emergency fund. Now, Nicole, now they will say to you, pay off all your debt, build your emergency fund, then invest. I don't personally agree. Now, it depends. Now, I don't know the state of your debt. I don't know how much you have saved in terms of emergency fund. But when we were trying to clear our debt, Renee and I, we were $2 million in debt. We invested aggressively to help us clear the debt faster. If we did not invest, it would have taken us so long to clear all of our debts. But we're able to clear. We had the $2 million debt, and we cleared it in 18 months, just investing aggressively, right? Now, it was a different time in the stock market, of course, but I'm an advocate for for investing while you pay off debt. Because if you don't invest, so let's say that you are going to take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to pay off that debt, you're missing an opportunity to invest. Now, if you tell me that you're going to take the next 3 to 4 months or 6 months, clear all your debt, then invest, that's different. But if it's going to take longer than that, I wouldn't necessarily wait, because you may be missing an opportunity to grow your money. And even that emergency fund, you have dividend stocks or preference shares or bonds that could be giving you interest on that savings instead of leaving cash in an account, right? So those are some of the things that we cover. You're saying 6 months. Okay, cool. So that makes sense. That's not a long wait. But I would say if you can invest something by 0.1 share, then you can, I'd say, at least start the process, right? Get invested, start learning, right? Which incurs less taxes, investing from Jamaica on a US stock exchange or from US direct? I don't think there wouldn't be a difference. Now, when you invest in the US market directly, as Adrian says, Interactive Brokers will file for you. When you go through a broker to invest in the US, I'm not sure how that works. I've never done it. Honeybun, do they pay dividends? I'm not sure, but you do know how to check. Go to the instrument summary, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and see if they have their corporate action. So let me search for you. So we covered this on Market Money, which is our weekly investment show. There's a research 101 video that, if you look on our channel, it was released last week, that shows you how to find information on stocks on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So if you've never looked up information before, that's a good place to start. All right. Okay, so I think that's it. Hopefully I've answered all your questions. I'm trying to find that link for you, for Honeybun, for you to see if they pay dividends currently. And then I'll share the link with you for you to be able to verify. All right. All right, cool. So thank you guys so much. Thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. I haven't had one of these classes in a while, so I'm really grateful that everyone was able to come out. If you're brand new to this channel, please subscribe. As I said, we do classes, investment content, weekly videos to help you grow as an investor, to become a better steward of your money. We have a free community that you can join. Have a discussion with people about investing, money management. Is it a safe space? We will not hesitate to remove somebody who we believe is harmful to the environment that we're trying to create. And so persons who are from our community will tell you that they feel very comfortable in just how we've been able to manage that community. And so you're more than welcome to join. Like this video. This helps us a lot to grow the channel, and it will show other persons the video the more you like it, right? So join our community groups. Check out our 12-month investment challenge. As I said, you can join and leave at any time. And you can also reach out to us for one-on-one coaching or consultancy. And then finally, I'll invite you to check out our investment academy. We have courses or Grow Your Wealth conference videos and other content that will come up, so you can register for free. And then once courses are coming out, it will tell you. So, I really hope the session was helpful for you. Latoya is saying, I really appreciate this information, learned so much. I have gone to local brokers about investing. There you go. But the minimum investment amount and their broker fee was a turn off. I completely understand, right? So it's something that can be a bit of a hurdle. And so that is something to really consider, right? They need to get those fees down, especially the brokers who partner with Interactive Brokers. All right, so I found the Honeybun information. Their last dividend paid was actually in February of this year. They paid 13 cents. So I'm going to share the information for you. Honeybun. If you want to understand how it works on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We have an investing for beginners video. We've done 4 or more classes on investing on the local stock exchange. We have tons of videos there. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. I just want to close by just, recommending that you remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. And as a faith-based community here at Learn, Grow, Invest, we believe that, the Lord has blessed us with money to be a resource for us to help, ourselves, our families to complete our purpose. And if you remember the parable of the talents, right? Each servant was given an amount of money according to their ability. And I think it's the same for us, where we get the amount of money that God knows we're able to manage. But the word also tells us that as we're faithful with the amount that we're given, we will be given more. And I've personally seen that as I've invested, as I've learned to manage my money better, I've gotten more. And so we really encourage you to remember the Lord, or to think about how the Lord would want you to spend money. So we discourage get rich quick schemes. We discourage things like gambling. We discourage things that pretty much lead to mismanagement of money, right? I'm not going to preach, but I just really want to encourage you that, because for us, when we looked to the Lord in terms of managing our finances, it really made a difference for us, right? So just wanted to close out with encouraging you in that way. And if you should ever need any help, feel free to reach out to us. And if it's your first time here, be sure to check out our channel. There are lots of videos that you can benefit from. And then, of course, we'll be happy to work with you if needed. So take care, everyone. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the very next video.